Alright guys, welcome back. Last time you saw this car, if I remember correctly, we were pressure washing the engine outside, I think. Anyways, we tore the engine apart, found out that the head gaskets were completely destroyed. The fire ring, or the metal ring around the cylinder, was split on 4 of the 6 cylinders. So I don't even know how this thing was driving. Like I said, 3 or 4 years ago, I put some of the Blue Devil in it and drove it for a couple years before it gave out again. So pretty impressive stuff considering how bad the head gaskets were. Not sponsored, but hey, if you guys want to sponsor me, hit me up in the comments. We are going to hopefully get everything put back together and get it fired up today. Although the way stuff normally goes around here, it'll be 3 or 4 months from now. But hopefully that's not the case. I've got the block cleaned up pretty good. I didn't have the camera on for that, sorry. We've got one of the heads in. We're gonna go ahead and get the other head cleaned up. I pressure washed it. Now we're just going to scrape what's left over of head gasket off of it, get some of the carbon cleaned up off of it. All right, so I like to spray the heads down with some WD-40. When I scrape it, that just helps clean up as you go. I think it also helps against gouging the head. You want to make sure you have a nice new clean razor blade, not one that has chips out of it or maybe damage, because then you're going to put scratches in your aluminum head and then you will have problems. Something else I like to do is once I've got most of the crud scraped off with a razor, then I go over it with a Scotch-Brite pad and clean it up, and again just use WD-40 as a lubricant slash cleaner. It was kind of funny. You can tell that the last head gasket, I don't know if it's the original or not, but at least it was put on the right way, because you can still see imprinted in the head, it says this side up. I don't know, it made me chuckle. So obviously the best way to do this is to send the head off to machine shop, have the valves taken out, have the head machined, a valve job, put all back together, properly inspected. But we're not going to do that because again, it's a $300 car. So you do at least want to get the head surface as clean as you can. This is my method. I've used it before. It seems to work great. There's a couple little spots that I'll try to get the rest of it off, but that's going to create a good seat with the head gasket, and hopefully this head isn't warped or cracked, because if it is, we just wasted a bunch of time and money. Again, not the recommended method. You're definitely not going to see that in the manual. This is set on a pretty low torque setting, so I was just bottoming them out. So all of you that are freaking out that I'm torquing them down with a torque gun, yeah, again, $300 car. All right, the torque specs for these heads are torque them all down in a spiral pattern to 44 pounds and then 90 degrees. So that's what we're gonna do. Also, if I failed to mention earlier, make sure you use brand new bolts on these. These are torque to yield bolts and they are one-time use. So when you take your old head off, don't try to save time and money by reusing the bolts. I did that once and I ended up having to put new head gaskets and new bolts on it the next day. They won't hold, they'll stretch. So yeah, I think pretty much the only thing you can reuse are head studs, which we are not doing head studs on this thing. Again, $300 car. Okay, so we torqued everything down to 44 pounds in a spiral pattern. Now we're gonna go back and go 90 degrees. They make a special tool that goes in between your breaker bar and your socket that you can attach to the block somewhere, and it's got a needle indicator on it, and you zero it and you turn it until you're 90 degrees. I don't have one, and AutoZone is 20 minutes away, and yeah, I don't want to go to AutoZone and rent the tool. Since it's 90 degrees, we're just going to do a trick that I learned. Who am I kidding? I just made it up. I'm just going to draw a line on the heads, on the head bolts with a Sharpie, and we're going to rotate them until the line goes like this to that, and that is 90 degrees. So again, this isn't the way you're gonna find it in the book. This is not the correct way to do it, but it will work. Again, if I was building a performance engine or an engine in a car that I'm hoping lasts a long time that wasn't a $300 car, I said it again. My daughter's holding the camera every time I say $300 car. She looks at me like, so yeah. Not the correct way to do it, but it is the way we're doing it. It's about 90 degrees. All the lines went from here to here, so everything's torqued down to specifications. The way that the Chevy engineers originally intended it to be. $300 car.
Stop saying that.
The $300 Impala, that's going to be the name of this episode. All right, so I got ahead of myself. I got all of the rockers on. I got the push rods put in. And I was getting ready to throw the intake manifold gasket on. And these go on before the push rods. The push rod's right on the outside. So I'm gonna take this all off, put these on, and then put it all back together again. So yeah, if you watch my videos, you know I'm kind of a just wing it type of a person and figure it out as I go. This would be a benefit right here of reading the instructions ahead of time. All right, now that we're done with that, we're gonna go ahead and put some silicone down at the bottom of the intake manifold where it makes contact with the block. That's typical in most Chevy engines. It might be typical in Dodge or Fords. I just have not had the privilege of working on those much. So anyways, we're gonna go ahead and get that. You wanna make sure that those surfaces are really clean. You don't want oil and stuff leaking out of there because you didn't take the time to clean it. So just spray some brake cleaner or carb cleaner on a rag and wipe it off. Brake cleaner works better. Carburetor cleaner actually has some lubricant in it. So you don't want to use that unless that's your only option. All right, now that we've got the silicone down there, we're gonna set this on there. We're going to put all the bolts in, but we're not gonna tighten it up just yet. We're just going to finger tight everything, let it sit for about 20 minutes while we do some other stuff, get that RTV a chance to kind of set up a little bit before we torque everything down. All right, guys. It's starting to look more like an engine. We've got most of it put back together. I just need to do all the annoying stuff like plug in wires, hook up hoses, hook up the front exhaust manifold. But the motor itself is buttoned up. So I'm gonna go ahead and get the rest of that done and fire this thing up and hopefully take it for a test drive. It is the next morning. Actually, it's the next afternoon. It's Sunday, so we went to church this morning. Let me get the lights on in here. Ew, it's dark. So I have had the car on the charger most of the morning. I had to push it outside last night to change the oil on my van. I put 2 quarts of ATF in the engine, as well as about 2 quarts of used synthetic oil out of my van, just to rinse the motor out. If you remember earlier in the video, how disgusting the goopy, greasy oil was. Oh, hey, say hi.
Hi.
She's excited. She wants to drive her car today. So it's been on the charger. I went ahead and topped up the fluid. Hopefully the battery isn't completely toast and we can get this thing to start without jumping it and go test drive it. See if it does more than click this time.
What?
See if it does more than just click this time. All right, so apparently it needs a new battery. I was afraid of that. This battery basically went completely dead because it sat too long. We can jump start it and it'll fire up and run, but it will not hold a charge. So I'm probably gonna pull a battery out of a different car to put in this one, and we will be right back. All right, so we ended up just pushing it outside and jump starting it. I didn't want to go through the hassle of changing out the battery. I'm gonna top off the coolant a little bit. There's a couple bleeder valves on the top of the engine that you can loosen. Most vehicles have these, they're located in various spots, but that'll allow all the air to rise to the top and you'll start getting air bubbles out. Once you start seeing a clean flow of coolant, then you can tighten those bleeder valves and you should have all the air out of your system. Wouldn't be a bad idea to, after you run the car through a couple cycles, to crack those valves again, get the rest of the air out. water temperature has leveled out at about 100 and, I don't know, 60. I can't see it from here. Let's go, kiddo. You excited?
Yeah.
Drive it down to Mama's.
Feels funky.
All right, so what do you think?
Well, it drives like a $300 car.
What's that supposed to mean?
I don't know, it's your fault that you keep calling it that.
So guys, thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already, and if you've made it all the way to this part of the video, please hit the like and subscribe button. It'll help us grow our channel. It'll help us get to the point where we can do more videos in between me having to do my daily grind job. So anyways, this was a blast. I had a lot of fun working on this car with you. It is a $300 car, like I've said quite a few times in this video, but it is her first car, and she's really excited about it. So what do you think?
Well, you're right. I am really excited. I can't wait to turn it into the dream car that, well, my dream car would be actually nice, but I can't wait to turn it into an okay looking car after this.
That's my girl. So what do you want to do with it? What's the next plan?
I'm going to paint it sparkly black and then put a spoiler on it and a body kit.
Yeah. So she wants to take this $300 car and make it a $3,000 car. That's still worth $300.
This is worth $300.
Guys, thank you so much for watching. If you've made it this far, please subscribe to the channel. Hit the like button. Hit the little ding dong bell thing. That way you get notified in 2 or 3 months whenever I get around to uploading another video. You don't forget about us. Yeah. I hope you guys enjoyed watching the video as much as we enjoyed working on the car together. Take care. Say bye, don't be rude.
Bye. No, that was weird. Let me redo that. You better not put that in.